Print servers in federal environments create risk and unnecessary complexity. Every new printer, location, or policy adds strain to infrastructure that was never built for today's demands. FedRAMP High Authorized Printer Logic eliminates print servers with a secure cloud-native, zero-trust solution designed for federal IT. With advanced security, centralized control, and simplified management, agencies can modernize print without added burden. See what secure serverless printing looks like. Visit Vasion.com to learn more.
Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
The Defense Department has launched 3 pilot programs that promise to overhaul the Pentagon's equal employment opportunity processes. Federal News Network's Anastasia Obis joins me now with more details. Anastasia, great to have you.
Hi, Terry.
What has the Defense Department been focused on when it comes to EEO?
Yeah, so last year, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced a number of efforts that are aimed at reforming the department's equal employment opportunity programs. Last April, he said the department would conduct a comprehensive review of the department's military equal opportunity and equal employment opportunity programs to ensure, and I quote, prompt and impartial investigations, fair treatment of all involved, and timely and appropriate resolution of allegations and discriminations. At the time, he said that the department's EEO processes have been weaponized and that some people would use it in bad faith. And Hegseth kind of coined this policy as no more walking on eggshells. And then in September, we got another memo from Hegseth directing the department to implement the reforms based on that review. He laid out a number of reforms that we will talk about, but let's hear Hegseth talk about EEO first.
We're back with more reforms here at DoD, and this one is one of the most important ones we've done. The official title is Restoring Good Order and Discipline Through Balanced Accountability. A little wordy, but over the target. The real title that I call it, the No More Walking on Eggshells policy. You see, too often at the Defense Department, there are complaints made for certain reasons that can't be verified that end people's career, either through EO or the IG. We need to reform that process completely so commanders can be commanders. Let me explain it a little bit more. So the DoD has equal opportunity programs for service members and civilians to report discrimination and harassment. That's a good thing. But what's not good is when these programs are weaponized. Some individuals use these programs in bad faith to retaliate against superiors or peers. I hear it all the time. Say you receive a bad evaluation, well, file a military EO complaint. It's nonsense, and we want to fix that.
Anastasia, Undersecretary Tata says, though, that only about 1% of final agency decisions for EO complaints result in a finding of discrimination. What's behind that number?
Yeah, so it's kind of misleading. He posted that on X when he announced these pilot programs. It makes it sound like 99% of claims lack merit. But the issue is that 1% figure, it only represents complaints that make it through the entire EO process that have a final agency decision. But it doesn't account for complaints that get resolved through settlements, or they're withdrawn, or they get resolved through alternative dispute resolutions. You know, EO process is designed to kind of facilitate early resolution of claims, of issues. If someone raises a concern, the agency has to respond. So whether it's providing accommodation, whether it's addressing harassment complaints, stopping harassment. So a lot of cases get resolved early on through settlement. Also, the lawyer I spoke to said that the strongest cases actually get resolved early in the process. So the fact that it's only a very small percentage of claims that are in favor of complainants, it doesn't mean this process is invalid or broken.
Well, keeping that in mind, then, what will these 3 pilot programs actually do?
Yeah, so the 3 pilots that were recently announced will focus on cutting EO investigation timelines in half. One pilot will be focused on centralizing EO operations across the department, and then one pilot will be focused on expediting cases involving senior leaders. When I asked the department about these pilot programs, how many personnel and offices are going to be affected, what changes the process would allow DoD to cut investigation timelines in half, because, right now they can't even meet their 180-day deadline. They said that they didn't have anything to provide beyond what the Undersecretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness said, and they said that the pilots are underway.
Within that, you mentioned a pilot to speed up investigations in cases involving senior officials. What would that look like?
Yeah, so basically this change could impact how pending complaints influence promotions or other personnel actions. Now, at this point, promotions can pretty much only be blocked when the agency issues a final decision. So if there is a complaint, unless there is an agency decision, unless an administrative judge substantiates that harassment, that promotion, it's still moving forward. The lawyer I spoke to said the biggest bottleneck here is the investigative process itself. And back to, it goes back to ensuring that these EEO offices have enough funding, they have enough personnel to be able to handle the complaints in a quick manner. And that should be the first step. Hagseth's memo also says that DoD would explore alternative IT solutions like AI to expedite investigation of these cases. It's, of course, unclear how exactly they're going to use AI. But at the same time, as I was told, we got to have a system that works first, solving those bottlenecks instead of throwing money at AI.
So is that what the standardization of the process potentially looks like? More automation, but also more funding and staff to help expedite the process?
We don't know. However, the September memo that Hagseth issued said that centralizing EEO program organization would involve consolidating offices and personnel. So we don't know whether it means less personnel. We don't know what it means for the funding, but he did say it would institute a technology solution. Again, these processes are not perfect. There are a lot of issues, including, complaints being lost in the system, offices struggling with severe backlogs. DoD's EEO policy hasn't been updated in a very long time. So centralizing could potentially be helpful if done right. But at the same time, it's very important to have the personnel. It's important that there are people on the ground who could respond immediately to a complaint, who could advise people in terms of their next steps. So yeah, it's really important to have that prompt access to complaint processing. And we don't really know what consolidating means. It might mean less personnel.
That's Federal News Network's Anastasia Obis. Anastasia, thanks for bringing us this story.
Thank you, Terry.
You can find her story at federalnewsnetwork.com.